We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But I also learned in third grade that that wasn't something that applied to everyone.
And even though we talk about implicit bias quite a bit, and it's really important that we understand it, that there's also power and privilege at work, and that if we really understand that those are at work when we're applying the innovations. I mean, PBIS is an amazing innovation. As we're applying the innovations, that we understand that we're not applying them in ways that only benefit some students and not all. So really pushing themselves as coaches and the teams to constantly ask who's benefiting from the way things are and who's not.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has indicated that in 2019, we don't have the 2020 data yet, that there are about 940 hate groups around the country that are engaging in supporting of white nationalist groups that are discriminating against LGBTQ individuals and are actually blanketing the social media world with their statements and their vision and language, if you will. We know that's been steadily increasing over the last few years, and we got to become much more cognizant of the impact. We know that there are different numbers of these identified groups across different states. Most of them have become much more visible over the last 3, 4, or 5 years. Some of them are still covert and behind the scenes.
It's important, again, for us to recognize that Black bodies are policed in the streets and in the classroom. And that it's our responsibility to take a look at ourselves to finally say, how are we going to change this?
So you probably may be aware that the Oakland Police Department has a history of disparities in police stops by race and ethnicity. In Oakland, the percent of African Americans in the population is 28%, but the percent of stops was 60%. So that would be over-representation there.
We have to have conversations about what do you want to be when you grow up. Kids have to think about, I just want to be alive. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 16 or 17. This little boy playing basketball in his own front yard. He hides behind this car. Why? Because a police car drives by. And then he goes out and plays. Why is it that Black children are afraid of police officers when all he's doing is playing basketball?
The first question is, what is your experience being harmed by racism in schools? Temple, would you like to start us off? I would like to invite you to please share with the audience the time that you've been harmed by racism in the schools.
So I was in Spanish class and my teacher was talking about what his family traditions were. And he said that in his household and his family, they called Black people cucarachas or cockroaches. And then he asked my classmates, and that included 2 of my friends, to raise their hands if they themselves or their families had ever been racist or said racist things to Black people. And I'm the only Black person in class, and everybody, including my teacher, raised their hands. And I had to sit there and watch that my teacher and my classmates proven that they don't accept me and that my classmates don't accept me, and I wasn't welcome.
Recognize your privilege, your white privilege. Recognize your unconscious bias. Bias is difficult to address because it's just that, it's unconscious. So you have to be kind of more aware of what is the first thought that comes into your mind when you see a Black student walk into your class. So we talk about systemic racism. It's beyond these individual acts. It's how society operates as a whole. How we see Black boys and Black girls. It's embedded in normal practices. And it's really critical to understand that point because it's not just what happens day to day. It's how that accumulates over time and how that system has served some and not served others. Think about when we talk about racism and anti-racism and anti-Blackness. What does that mean? And it's time to have honest conversations about it. It's been time to have honest conversations about that. It's not enough to just not be racist. It's not enough to say my best friend is Black. It's not enough to say that I don't have any hate in my heart. It's not enough to just be a good person. They shouldn't have to worry about being afraid of the police. They shouldn't have to worry about being criminalized. They shouldn't have to worry about being arrested in school. You look at these innocent faces and how can we not want a system that works for everyone. We still can't walk around in hoodies. We still have to be careful when we drive at night. We still have to be afraid when our children go to school. Because when I get pulled over, I still get asked, where are you going? Is this your car? What do you do? Because all lives truly cannot matter until Black lives matter.